Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Rajiv and I welcome you back on Aavriti. And today's topic is to make a drop-down navigation in Animate CC. So we'll start with a new file as usual. So I'm just going to close the previous file which was utilized for creating buttons and animated buttons, and you can check out those tutorials in Avriti as well. So in a continuation of the button series, we have this tutorial where we are going to see how we can make a drop down navigation which has multiple buttons in it. So we are going to start with an ActionScript 3.0 file, and the very first thing is to do here is to make multiple buttons, and I'm going to just utilize very simple buttons here. uh, so I'm going to get rid of the outline and change its color to a different color. Let's go with black, a darker gray, and I'm going to convert this into a button. So, and I'll just give it a name, home, and say okay. Now that home name I gave is just for referring it in the library. So if I go to the library, I can find a button by the name home, but it doesn't mean that it's going to reflect here. I have to give it a name here inside the button, like we used to do earlier in the couple of tutorials we did about buttons. And this name is also not going to refer it in ActionScript panel. For that we'll have to give it an instance name, and we will have a look at it also how to link buttons with different pages and different locations in the presentations in an upcoming video tutorial. So I would encourage, once you are through with these tutorials, these 3 tutorials on buttons, you should check out the linking tutorial. Okay, fine. So I'll go inside the button by double clicking on it and create another layer on top of it, and very quickly just let's define the over stage at least and down stage for this one. So I'll say F6 and change its color to black, and on the down stage I'll just leave it to black. That's fine. And on the up stage here, I'm going to continue this till the down. So I have hit F5 here for continuing this blank keyframe till the end of it, and on this frame I'm going to type the name home. This is the home button. I'll type home. Alright, let's resize it. 12 seems fine here, and I also want it to be centrally aligned. So perfect, and I want the color to be contrasting with the background, so I'll change it to white. Very simple. And it changes color when the cursor hovers on top of it, it darkens up. Let's test the button. Yep, works fine. Now I want a couple of more buttons, maybe 4 or 5 buttons below it. So for doing that, I can just make a copy of it. Now the problem here is I also want separation in between. The problem here is, if you are thinking that I can go inside this and then change this to something else, you can do so definitely, but the only problem is because this is going to reflect in the previous button as well. So this is not the way how you duplicate a button basically. So I'm just going to get rid of this second button I have created, and I'll tell you the right way to duplicate it. So I'll go to library, and there we can find this home button. We will right click on it and choose duplicate. Now this technique only works till one breadcrumb navigation. So basically the text has to be in one step inside the button. So this is not going to work if you have a button which has a movie clip and the text is inside that movie clip, because the text is going to be the property of the movie clip. Okay, so it's a little complex thing to understand at this point of time, so I'll just rather skip to it and come back to the topic here. So I'm going to define a name here. So since home is turned into about us, I'm going to make about us button, say okay, and I'll go inside the home and change its about us to home back again. So on the scene 1 I have the home button, and in the library I have an about us, and I can drag that about us and keep it along the home here, and if I test the movie, I have two buttons and both are acting as it is supposed to be. Okay, so I'll quickly make few more. I'll right click, choose duplicate, and I'll write here contacts. Okay, I'll copy the same text here, control C, say okay, go inside the contact and double click on it and then paste it here as well, come out. Okay, then again I'll go back, right click on it and then choose duplicate, and this time I want downloads, copy the text, control C, okay, go inside download and change the text here as well, come back to scene 1, go to the library, right click on it and repeat this step once again, because I also want a gallery button. Control C, say okay. Now drop down navigation is a very nice way to utilize the space, visual space we have, because it takes up a very small space and gives us plenty of options where we can have multiple buttons stored within one. So I'm just going to drag gallery out here, place it here. Do not worry about the alignment and distribution of the space in between, we will deal with it in just a while. So I'm just bringing all of these out first, and the last one is going to be contacts. Perfect. Let's select all of it and go to the alignment panel here. If you can't see the alignment panel open here, go to the windows and then find out all the panels are listed in the windows. First I want to make sure these are right aligned, and all of these are already right aligned. Now it comes to distribution, and I want to distribute the center of these objects vertically. So I'll click on this option, and I'm not happy with the spacing it has right now. I want less spacing, so I'll just use my keyboard to randomly bring them closer. Fine. And let's just distribute them evenly once again by clicking here, and this seems fine. If I test the movie right now, I have a series of buttons placed on top of each other in vertical order, which gives me access to different pages inside my presentation. So how do I convert it into one single button on which, if my cursor goes, it rolls down and gives me these other options? Okay, so let's see how we can do it. Now we can do it on the main timeline, but that would be quite a mess, because when we start working with our presentation, it's going to be a lot of things which are going to come on the main timeline. So I don't want it like that. Rather, I would go for one single movie clip which contains my entire navigation, and I can place that navigation anywhere in my interface later on. So what I'll do, I'll select all of it and then hit F8 to convert this into a movie clip. I'll choose the type of the symbol movie clip and then call it drop down nav. So this is my drop down navigation. I'll just zoom it back to the fit to Windows, and I can place it anywhere I want. I can make it part of the interface I'm designing. Let's zoom into it a little more. Let's go inside this movie clip and then start configuring it in a way. Now the very first thing here is to hide rest of the buttons other than home. That is the first problem we have at hand, right? And we can do that by using masking. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. The very first thing would be here to make a new layer, and we will call it mask. You can call it anything, and layer 1 will have buttons. So this is the layer where we have all the buttons kept. On the mask layer, we are going to draw a rectangle which is slightly bigger than the home button. All right, so we need to actually let's get rid of the outline. Now always I have a habit of getting rid of the outline, because I want the interface to look very clean and neat. So I have increased it a little bit here and slightly here also, the mask. Okay, all right, just a little. Okay, if you want to really work with you know with it precisely, then you can zoom in and then do the transformation. Fine, I'll change the color of it also, though the color is not going to matter, but it shouldn't merge with the background here in the editing mode. That's why I've changed it. So this is the mask object, and I have not converted this layer into a mask. And that I can do if I test the movie right now. Control enter, we have this mask here, right? Beneath, below that, we have this button and all the buttons. So if I right click on it and then choose mask, it's going to hide rest of the buttons. So control enter is going to only reveal the button beneath the mask. Okay, so first purpose is done. We have successfully managed to hide rest of the buttons and reveal just the one we want. Now the problem here is that how do I make all of those appear when my cursor goes on top of this button? So first thing first, we need to animate the mask so that it can achieve a state where it can accommodate all of the hidden buttons. So we'll unlock this layer, let the buttons layer be locked, and then this mask, we need to convert this into a movie clip. So we'll say F8 on the keyboard and let's just say mask. Okay, and convert this into a movie clip, say okay, and we need to put animation on it. So I'll right click on this and then choose create motion tween, and we can decide for how long that animation should play. So I'll go for about 15 frames, and then also we need to extend the presence of buttons till 15th frame. So I'm going to click here on the 15th frame and say F5 so that these buttons can appear throughout the animation. I'll go to the end of this animation and hold alt and then drag. Why I'm holding alt? Because if I leave alt, the transformation is going to happen from both the sides, which I do not want. So I'll hold alt and then drag this down slightly below the bottommost button, which is contacts in this case. And if I lock it and play my timeline, you'd see that the mask is being animated, and with time it reveals it. So if I test the movie right now, we'll have some issues. Let's address those, understand those issues, and then we will address them and solve them. This is not how we want it to be, right? I don't want it to automatically play. What I want instead, when my cursor goes on top of it, then it should play. So first thing, I need to stop this animation on the very first frame itself. So I'll click, make sure that the first frame is selected, the playhead is on the first frame, and I'll go to code snippets. Inside the code snippets, you are going to find it like this if you open it for the first time. If you can't find this option anywhere in the docket or in the interface, you go to Windows, look for code snippets, you'll find it there. Since I have it open already, I'll expand the action script and go to the timeline navigation section and utilize the very first command, which says stop at this frame. Double click on this and it will automatically write the script for us. And you can definitely go through this commented out text, which makes you understand what this stop is and how this works. So I'll just close out the action panel. We'll be working with action panel a little more in this demonstration.